Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!
Welcome to Flat Earth Debate. I'm your host, Nathan Oakley, and if you are new to this channel, or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. If you'd like to support this channel, there is a super chat that runs alongside each of these shows while they are live. There's also a PayPal and crypto link in the info box below the video. But most importantly, if you would like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the shape of the Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts. You'll be warmly welcome back on the next stream. Please also share the show on social media. Sharing the show obviously increases the live audience, but this in turn increases the chances of a more diverse panel. So please share the show on Instagram, Facebook and Twitter. And one last time, if you're new to the channel or you've not done so already, be sure to subscribe and hit the bell notification icon to keep up to date with the Flat Earth Debate. Now we are joined by Zinda, Spec, Sleeping Warrior, Ranty Flat Earth, Karen B, Jose, Eric, Daniel and Arwin. Good to have you all.
Hola.
Good afternoon.
Yo, yo.
Hello.
Hey, how's it going? Hey. Hello.
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 Well, we survived the 666th show.
Very little talk about the number, so I thought if a conversation dries up, I'll just say, well, what suspicions and hocus pocus have we got around the 666 number? But we never got to it. So we did on the 665 show, and now we're probably going to do it on the 667 show. But there we go. We had a good chat anyway. Some guy pretending to be a Rasta. All good fun.
Let's just poke the bear a bit. Let's just name some people that can't prove the stuff that they believe.
Slice
for example,
Barcade
Rumpus
can't
can't
debunk
prove that
Ranty's
light
observation.
bends around the curve of an Earth.
Slice Barcade can't debunk Ranty's observation. He's just ignored it.
Slice Barcane can't model the conspiracy cats thing with an atmosphere, but claims that it's true anyway, but devoid of an atmosphere. I say no.
Slice Barcane, Red's Rhetoric, all their ilk, their claims before when they were saying the inferior mirage was it was where the curve of the Earth is. It's proved.
Hey, by the way, Nathan,
that must hurt them.
Nathan, I've had a concession that I'm not. I can't say who because it's a trusted baller. But I've been told that Red's Rhetorics actively told his people on his panel not to mention your name. In other words, don't mention Nathan Oakley. Let's not publicise him because derp. But your name's actively now not mentioned on anything to do with Red's Rhetoric. Apparently.
Oh, good. Yeah, it's like not wanting to mention the rapist. Yeah, I rammed that arse so far up his arse that now he doesn't ever want to mention me again. Well, it must have been painful. Yeah, because the second I see him, I'll say, right, let's see your maths. Oh, what's that R value you're assuming there, Red's Rhetoric? Everything you talk about hinges on it, doesn't it? I wouldn't want to talk about me either, because I destroy all of your arguments, Red. That's why you don't want to talk about me, because I'd absolutely pummel you if you ever made any assertion, because every assertion you make requires an assumption, doesn't it? And that's been rammed up good and proper.
Didn't you say Red's Rhetoric was your bitch?
Yeah, yeah, absolutely.
I got one. Shout out to Soundly. He say, ignore the beat in the bottom of the buildings and in the bottom of the long distance observations. Don't focus on the inferior mirage and the atmospheric conditions. You have to look at the top of the buildings. And then you kind of ignore and sweep under the rug all the stuff that is going down in the bottom of the observations. Yeah, right.
And the obstructions curve.
Rumpus got the eternal flu. Until he's got something new to get his teeth into, then he's all keen.
Yeah,
right,
yeah.
Rumpus? 99% you say? Oh, yeah. Heavy cold, but you've got 99% of it done. Okay. We've stopped caring. We don't care. You're an idiot.
Well, let me remind people what happened with Sly last night when we were talking about the effects of the refraction, the atmospheric refraction that he didn't have in his model. Basically, his position is that it's only worth about a pixel anyway. So on the one hand, I've got Sly saying the amount of refraction on his model that he didn't put in atmospheric refraction to is only worth a pixel. But then we have Rumpus, of course, that has to account for 700 feet. And we know that light doesn't bend that way. So, bit of a problem. We have, on the one hand, Sly saying one thing, but we have Rumpus on the other hand saying the opposite. So what are we to accept and believe to be true?
Nah,
The Earth
you
is,
can fit
the Earth
700
is flat.
feet in a pixel.
That's what you can accept, because it's blatantly obvious. And all of their mathematical nonsense that says we need to add pixels or remove pixels or quantify anything we ever see ever is nonsense. As flat earthers, we don't need to do any of that crap. None of it is necessary. There's a boat. There's my explanation. Didn't need one. It's a boat. Oh, what's that you say? Oh, maybe there should be Earth curve in front of this clock. No, I just say clock. There it is. I see it. It's there. You can go and photograph it yourself if you like. It's a clock. It's at Barrow. Do I need to explain it? No. Oh, what's that you say? You must explain it. Oh, right. Well, that's because you've got a religious belief. So that clock shouldn't be there, you say? Well, it is. There it is. No explanation needed. Shout out to Retro Bill for the super chat. Listening every day and loving it. Thanks, Nathan. Ah, really appreciate it. Thank you, Retro Bill. But there you go. Clock. End of explanation. Church. End of explanation. Boat. End of explanation. I can hold up my mouse and say mouse. No explanation required. But in the world of globetards, beyond a certain distance, things suddenly need explaining, don't they? Suddenly they're slightly looming non-standard refraction hyenas of an island in the distance. We just say, Isle of Man. They say, slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena. We need to get this into the program. We need to look at it compared to the model. We need to explain why we see it when we shouldn't. No, we don't need to. Isle of Man. End of explanation for a flat earther.
Nathan. Slightly
Yes.
looming non-standard refraction hyena. Sly's taking credit for that. He believes that you've copied him something that he said in one of his shows and he can prove it. And I'm like, what? It came as a result of hyena, didn't it?
It came as a result of a commenter called, guess what?
It wasn't it.
Slightly
It didn't-
looming non-standard
didn't
refraction
evolve.
hyena, the commenter.
Yeah, it evolved from hyena, right?
Yeah. He ended
Well,
up having a...
Sly's taking credit for it, saying that you've copied something that he said, and I'm like, I don't think so. It naturally evolved in the Isle of Man stuff, as far as
Yeah,
I'm
to
aware.
the point where I've now got an automatic button to shout the guy out in his new name, which is probably wrong because he's probably changed it since then. So I've got shout out to legendary, super looming perspective enigma hyena, and then a link to the video he made about me beating up Rumpus in like some Matrix theme. But yeah, you know, it's a guy who commented called slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena. We just adopted it for your nonsense where you assert when we see something, and we do see it, we've got a photo, you say that we need to account for it as an aberration, or as a hologram, or as a, guess what, slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena, which is what you guys claim it is. Nah, just a clock. Nah, just a church. Nah, just a boat. As a flat earther, that's the end of the explanation. None needed. It's a concrete noun. We see it because it's there. You say, oh, it's beyond this distance, and the calculator says it shouldn't be. Who cares? Your calculator's for religious zealots only. Keep your calculator.
Hold on, really quick. Riley, did you know, I noticed a little piece of something yesterday on the slide hangout. He's using a tactic that I haven't seen is being used, which is changing the hidden figures. Like, let's say if it's 700 feet, 600 feet hidden, he said that is nothing. That is a 0.002 degrees, or this certain little tiny amount of degrees. Like, they use the argument for you don't feel 1,000 miles per hour in the equator of a spin. You just feel one rotation every 24 hours. So they're changing the tactic of instead of saying this amount in feet is hidden, is this amount of degrees, which is very noticeable. And I hope, I think they're going to start using that little technique of obfuscation.
Changing the scale, yeah. But what he doesn't do when he changes the scale is point out that it's at 30 miles or 100 miles. He just goes, it's 0.3 of a degree. Well, that may be true, but 0.3 of a degree over X amount of mileage is still a large amount of changing horizon relative to the so-called curve of the Earth.
Just out of interest, not that I watched Sly, but did he take into account the angular size of the obstruction in the near foreground, i.e. the claimed curve? He has
No, we
evidence
didn't get
of?
that far. We got to
did he not?
refraction and then it stopped.
Guys, if you're going to start claiming that after you've used the begging the question proof of nothing perspective hijacking curve calculator, you can start calling things in angles after you've done that calculation so that the audience, the stupid ones, think that you've somehow accounted for angular size, wrong. Unfortunately, when you start using those terms, I'll start asking you if you've taken into account the angular size of the 170-foot wall obstruction that's in the near foreground, just at 8 miles on the horizon, which you think is the leading edge of a sphere, even though we see no x-axis curvature. So that leading edge of the sphere, that's a... how big an obstruction, you say? 140-foot wall in the way? Well, how much bigger would it be if it's in the near foreground? Let's work out the angular size on that obstruction. What's that, you say? Everything's obscured behind it in your mathematics? Oh dear, perspective doesn't jive well with those calculations now, does it? Maybe it's because you've replaced perspective with curvature.
Yeah. Slippery, there's that many things that you can pick them up on, but they don't like being picked up on it, so they have to say many points so that you can't pick up on one point. It's a tactic called...
scattergunning.
What's it called?
Scattergunning.
Scattergunning, that's right. Scattergun.
Yeah, they all do it. You get to a point where you've completely dismantled their argument. I can't remember who it was yesterday. I think it was that that Dench guy. And he asserts distance to the sun. We start picking it apart when we're close to the end, because obviously he doesn't want you to let the conclusion get out on air. He just wants to have verbal diarrhea. Moves immediately onto gravity. Let's go on to the next point. Let's not let you have a concise ending where you demolish my argument concisely and point out what utter nonsense it is. You know, rather that, let's move on. Next. No. Just crap tactics from someone with no argument, basically.
The art of debate, eh?
Beautiful thing.
Or the deception of the debate.
Yeah. At the moment, their only tactic is to stop you from actually being able to make your point once you dismantle an argument. That's why they're calling foul so much. Oh no, he stops us from talking. No, you verbal diarrhea over a concise debunking of your assertion. And you don't like that. You want to be able to rumpus the shit out of every single demolition of your point. So you manage to keep some face when you make these nonsense assertions. So you can make them and I can pick them apart.
Exactly right.
But so long as you don't let the audience hear me picking apart, it's almost like you've made a point. Well, that's the best you've got. Well, sod that. I can control that. That's what they're complaining about, right? I mute them. Well, no. Dench comes in and thinks he can talk 90% of the time, answer a question that's directed at Zinder. No, that don't fly. I've got to control this hangout. If they don't like it, come and be concise, offer an argument that's not fallacious, give us some actual science, and believe me, we'll hear you. But when you just parrot the same garbage we've heard 300 times, down the mic as loud as you possibly can, as fast as you possibly can, over the top of every single address to your concise shite, then I'm going to shut you up. Don't like it, don't come. That's absolutely fine by me. Just because it's a flat earth friendly show.
Like many arguments, right? Like there's a lot of observations and arguments that ensue. And I have a challenge to ball earthers and flat earthers that how would you prove the shape of the earth to a blind person?
That's a good question. It's a brilliant question, actually.
If you lack the sense of sight, how would you prove it? Are blind people automatically flat earthers? Are they automatically ballers? I mean, how would you actually prove it? And it seems to me that the only way that ballers could do it is with math. But I think flat earthers have a better argument.
I see what you're saying, but it would take, obviously, a bit of trust in terms of what we see and conveying that to them. So, for instance, the proof on this show in the last Isle of Man Lighthouse 30, whatever it is, 31 miles away, should be a massive 170-foot wall obstruction in the way according to their mathematics. But for me, I just tell them that I can see that lighthouse at 31 miles, and there isn't actually any explanation required until someone comes along and says, actually no, because the Earth's a sphere, in other words, immediately affirming the consequent, there's this effect going on. It's not really there. Your man's telling you he can see it, but really it's not there. It's a mirage. It's being loomed up beyond that curve that's in the way. In other words, there's a counter-argument you could have without having any actual visuals on screen, as long as obviously everyone's on the up and up and no one's lying. But the problem with that is the globeheads often do literally lie. We've got conspiracy cats at the moment laying quote-unquote traps in his so-called proofs of the globe. So, you're like, these guys are on the straight and narrow. So, for us as a flat earther, you say, I see that there's Isle of Man at 80 miles. You know, Earth's obviously flat. That would be my very short conversation with a blind guy, because I can't get him to actually see what I see on screen now. You know, this is the wide angle of Barrow, for anybody who doesn't know what this picture on screen is. You know, that boat that we see with the clock behind it, this is just zoomed out. Well, you look at this and go, yeah, the reason we can see the stuff at Barrow about 16, 17 miles away is because between us and it, there's nothing obscuring the view. Why would there be? It's just flat as a pancake everywhere you look. There's no curve anywhere. Nothing suggests that stuff's dropping behind the horizon. It's just getting smaller with distance. The globe heads have replaced that, so the only way you have to justify it being flat in the first instance is when you have a fallacious assertion that it isn't. Because as far as I'm concerned, it being flat is obvious.
Can I just address this claim of trap by conspiracy cats? If Ranty does a video and he says, I'm at Nicky Nuke and I can see A, B, and C, and I'm not going to give you any more information because I don't want to, for whatever reason. If he's then asked to produce evidence for where he actually was, when he says he's on Nicky Nook, it could be the car park at the bottom, it could be the peak of the hill, it could be anywhere, right? If he's asked for evidence to produce it, it's not, you can't claim that that's a trap. It means that you've not produced the evidence in the first place to be able to validate the claim. It's not a trap to be able to claim that when somebody asks for it, it's a trap. What it is, it actually is the failure to produce the evidence that's obviously required in the first place to validate the claim. So for anybody that thinks that this is a trap, that's conspiracy cats, even though he's calling it a trap, it isn't. It's simply the case that he should have provided this information at the start, didn't because he basically doesn't want to. But it isn't a trap that he's setting, because a trap means that you're going to suffer if you ask for it. Well, he's supposed to provide it. The obligation is on him to provide it, and he's not doing it. And basically the conversation can't go any further until we can validate the claim, and he's not allowing us to validate the claim, but calling it a trap. It's not a trap. It's literally the case that you've not produced the evidence that you are expected to produce to support the idea or the assertion that you're claiming to be true. Well, you haven't done it. So it isn't a trap. He's calling it a trap, and people seem to be believing that it's a trap. It's not. It's an omission that he's repackaging as the word trap. But it's amazing how many dumbasses believe and accept and can now call this thing a trap. No, it's his assertion to prove, and he hasn't proved it. When he's been asked for the evidence, he's then cried victim and said that it's a trap. It's not a trap.
Not a trap. He just fucked up.
Yeah, he needs to produce the evidence to validate the claim, because it's the same with us. If we don't put our elevation data on, and even if we do put our elevation data on, it still causes a discussion of some kind. But that don't make it a trap. It just means that literally it's a case that you're failing to produce the information that you are expected to produce. It's not a trap, though. It's a failing on your part.
Yeah, if I could be bothered, I'd go back and edit Gem Panda and Paper Explanator and Rumpus laughing their heads off when you've quoted Google Earth. Not giving anything. You've given Google Earth what is, or formerly known as their model, right? You've used the data from that, ridiculed. In fact, on the non sequitur, discounted out of hand based on Google Earth's inaccuracy with the number actually given by Anthony. Now, we haven't even been given a figure. You know, we've been told, accept this. Well, where's it come from? Where's the reference? How do we check that? Do we get the opportunity to disregard it out of hand if it's come from Google Earth? You know? Oh, right, we don't get it at all. Oh, right, well, let's just not play that game. That's just stupid. Isn't this supposed to be a globe proof?
Do you know where Sly got the information from last night? He cited the elevation data on Google Earth.
Oh, right. Well, those guys discounted the Isle of Man observation, which we're now constantly putting on screen. It's on screen right now, based on an inaccuracy in a globe Earth map representation of the world. So because it was out by a matter of 20 metres, apparently that meant they could disregard everything.
20 feet it was out, and it was only 17 as well, not 20. But my point is that when I basically used Google Earth to plot what the elevation was, I didn't know it was out by a bit. Now, they told us that there was a variation of plus or minus 50 meters, right? Now, that's nonsensical given that the height was less than 100 meters anyway. But the point is that they said that you can't use Google Earth because it's out by up to 50 meters. But I was quite shocked and surprised when Sly cited from Google Earth the elevation of this thing. And I'm like, really? You're going to use Google Earth to support the assertion that this is a particular elevation? Do you not remember what happened when I did that at Isle of Man? We got told that we couldn't do it because it was massively out of whack.
Well, maybe Conspiracy Cats is unaware. He's obviously new to the scene. You need to get your tape measure out, mate. You need to get your ass over there and actually measure it. Otherwise, we'll do what you did. Your side of the argument, that is, which is disregard it out of hand because somebody's using Google Earth. I mean, come on. Really? Google Earth? You're joking.
Yeah.
Isn't this supposed to be, like, clear and concise? When Ranty puts stuff up, it's really obvious. There's something, it's there, we see it. End of explanation for a flat earther. Roll on the garbage nonsense to explain away why it doesn't work in their reification fallacy, the globe model. Yeah, that's how we play this game. What do they offer us? Something laden with traps that doesn't make any sense, doesn't have enough data, that's apparently there specifically for me as an individual when I've got no interest in him. I'd be absolutely disgusted if I was actually an audience member of his. It's like, you what? So this video isn't for us. It's a trap for Nathan. You're having a laugh, right? So this isn't the right data and taken as read then. It's a little game you're playing. Where's your globe proof? Why aren't you just proving the globe? Shouldn't it be really easy and simple and concise if you do actually live on a globe? Why are you playing games?
Well, he doesn't think that it's for him to prove. He thinks it's for us to disprove his assertion. And I'm like, no, you have to prove your assertion, dude. Nah, I don't have to do that. This is how the game goes. And he basically then blamed Nathan. He was like, well, Nathan's done this, and it wouldn't have gone to this if Nathan had done that and the other. And I was like, I'm done with you, dickhead.
Wow, the guy's
obsessed with me. It's not about personality, it's about what you can prove.
The guy's obviously obsessed with me. Don't know why. Soften that hard on for me, my friend. I'm not interested.
I don't get it. I don't understand why he doesn't understand that it's for him to prove that we live in a sphere. It's not for me to prove that we don't. He's got to prove the burden does lie with him.
Do you want to just, if you would, Anthony, just bring up the burden of proof reversal fallacy just so we can spell it out to these idiots? That if you make an assertion, it's not down to the person you're making it to disprove your assertion. You have to actually prove it. These people, all they do is use fallacious reasoning and fallacious arguments. That's all they do.
So you want the burden of proof reversal fallacy on?
But that's basically what it's doing, isn't it? You disprove it. Well, what are you talking about? It's your claim. Well, disprove it with limited information and say that you've conceded already. What? Shout out to I am for the super chat. Thank you very much.
Part of me wants to use the Wikipedia one because it's their favourite weapon, but they don't like it when I use it because they say that that's as far as I'm prepared to go with it. So I think we can't go with the burden of proof reversal from Wikipedia. We'll have to go from somewhere else. Logically, shifting the burden of proof, logically fallacious. This is for the people that don't like Wikipedia when it doesn't benefit you. Everybody else, generally speaking, this is right. So, shifting the burden of proof, making a claim that the Earth might be a sphere, for instance, conspiracy cats, that needs justification, evidence in this case, then demanding that the opponent justifies the opposite of the claim, which is exactly what he's doing at the minute. The burden of proof is a legal and philosophical concept with differences in each domain. In everyday debate, the burden of proof typically lies with the person making the claim, in this case, conspiracy cats. But it can also lie with the person denying a well-established fact or theory. Well, it can only come after that if you're going to prove that your claim is right in the first place. because basically, if you're going to claim that this is a well-established fact or theory, sure, but you're going to have to prove it first, right? And that's the debate we're trying to say. You guys can't prove your claim.
No, that's the...
Now,
Hold on. No. The globe is not a well-established fact. Yeah? If it's theory, and it's referring to scientific theory, then that's based on an establishment of systematic experimentation led from hypothesis. So if you're talking scientific theory, then, yeah, you need to actually prove stuff. And if it's a well-established fact, then it'd be a well-established fact. It isn't. Every assertion to do with it has fallacious reasoning behind it. So to say, well, it's consensus opinion, that's not a well-established fact. That's consensus opinion. The consensus believes the Earth's a sphere. That's not a well-established fact. That's our very argument. If it was a well-established fact, we'd have some scientific evidence. We'd have some facts. Not fallacious reasoning. Not automatically assuming the outcome.
So we've got an explanation here that says conspiracy cats made a claim that requires justification. Riley, or Sleeping Warrior, asked for evidence. But conspiracy cats shifted the burden of proof to Sleeping Warrior when Sleeping Warrior was unable to refute conspiracy cats because we've not got the information we've asked for. Conspiracy cats then claims victory. It's basically exactly what we're saying. He's not giving us the information that we're asking for. The guy's a Yahoo.
Yeah, just another exercise in logical fallacy, as always. But we said it yesterday.
So,
claim a victory. Claim a victory. Good for you.
Yeah, that's the only thing we can do. Just allow him to claim a victory because, well, he doesn't want to prove his claim. But we'll just point out to everybody that you can only claim a victory if it's sincere, and it isn't sincere.
Yeah, well, all of this is appealing to people who want to be deluded. So they're looking for confirmation bias, and they'll find it with him. So, if he's appealing to that audience that really doesn't want to find out the truth, and something convoluted and a little bit shrouded in traps or whatever seems like it's proving your religious belief, then people can take solace in that. Good for you, If you want to believe that crap, good for you. It's not a proof of the sphere.
What I did manage to find out off Sly, for which I'm going to give credit, was that the difference between the peak of Mount Rainier, whatever it's called, on a ball, the difference between the peak of Rainier on a ball compared to the peak of Rainier on a flat plane is 0.754 of a degree. But that works out to be 2,200 meters. That's the difference, right? So Conspiracy Cats is claiming that it's basically there's a load missing, right? But he hasn't got his baseline correctly stated. But now I know the difference between the two peaks, and I know where the bases sit at sea level. Then we can show where it actually sits. So I'm just waiting for his next move. But unless he produces the evidence to support his assertion, there is nothing else that I can do. Kind of stuck.
It's always nice. These games are fun in a small way. Also fun to point out how garbage the evidence for the sphere is. Soundly, conspiracy cats, convoluted nonsense, refraction effects. This is what these guys want to latch onto as proof of their religion. And in many ways you think, okay, if that's the tenuous proof that you want to cling to, then so be it, That makes you sleep at night, then fair enough. It's not true. The Earth's not a sphere. It never was.
May not even be flat though, Nathan. Probably is flat, but it could be something else.
Like what?
A what's it? A Pringle? Anything?
Will they have some
we
curvature?
could be living in a crater on top of a big ball. Who knows?
Okay,
But we just know it's not a ball the size they tell us.
The local observable area is obviously unobservably flat.
I agree.
Travelled pretty much all over the world, I can say that from my own experience. What I've observed of the world is obviously flat. And when you study it in the local topography like we do, it confirms that it's flat. Then you have something like this with two
large bodies of
mountains.
water measure flat.
Yeah. Water at rest is absolutely flat. Doesn't conform to a sphere. So yeah,
Well,
the beyond the realm that we know, it could be anything, Anthony. Yes, I'll concede. I don't know what I don't know.
which is, of course, the only position that you really can take, because we don't know the bigger picture. We may never know the bigger picture, but we do realise that it can't be a sphere of the size they tell us, because you've got to be able to see that curve, and we don't see that curve. It presents itself as flat. Yeah, you get a little bit of atmospheric stuff on the horizon, and it causes the debate. But this curve is there all the time, 24/7, 7 days of the week. We don't see it.
I don't know if Ranty's around. Hopefully he can tell us a bit about what he's doing at the moment, or will be doing over the next few weeks. You there, Ranty? Maybe not. I'll fill the audience in. So Ranty's got a good reference point with a pole that's a few miles out in the body of water between him at where is he taking those pictures from? Blackpool, and the Barrow and Finesse pictures that we've had up on this show. So between him and it, there is a reference, and according to the globe heads, when we see this stuff, it's looming, right? It's a hologrammatic effect of stuff from beyond the curve being loomed up so that it can sit in our line of sight by virtue of light bending at 7/6 the radius of the presupposed spherical Earth. All nonsense. Nonetheless, Ranty's got this reference in between the 2 points, so he can line up the tops of the buildings with this pole, and you can see the effect of the atmospheric conditions and the water level rising and falling, obscuring the bottom with a limited angle or with atmospheric effects. But the top, that lines up perfectly with this pole, seems to be pretty consistently there, unless it's a complete washout of a day. You can see that they're not moving a smegging inch. They're not looming up when you see all of them. You're just losing the bottoms of them to the effects that we describe in terms of the limited angle or the atmosphere. And that's consistent. So hopefully, Renty's already put one video out, and I nearly left a comment, but it would have sounded slightly negative, so I didn't in the end. But to say, you've basically smashed this out of the park in the first video. So you've referenced it to something back a few months ago with the P900 and then compared it to an observation you did 3 days ago in Barrow. And he smashed it out of the park. You're like, this ain't looming. This is being obscured at the bottom, and the water is rising and falling. There's a I forgot what he called it, but like a bore or something where the wave, like a front of the wave, pushes in as it narrows.
A rip tide, isn't it?
Not a riptide, there was a different word for it. Tidal bore, I think it's called. But ultimately that's pushing the level of the water up, limiting the angle further, and obscuring the bottom because it's reaching the diffraction limit with the higher level of water. Or there's atmospheric effects getting between you and it. And this effect is being demonstrated by Ranty. It's already been done on his second to last video I think he published. So yeah, it just smashes it out of the park with a comparison. None of it's looming, it's complete nonsense, but they want us to automatically assume we can't trust our own eyes, this stuff isn't really there, let's start calculating it, because it's not a concrete noun, we don't really see it, it's actually an observed phenomena. Why? Well, because it's beyond a certain distance, silly person. Beyond a certain distance, anything you see is a slightly looming non-standard refraction hyena, because we live on a globe. No, we don't.
Yeah, you said it quite better than I could, Nathan.
Oh, you are there, Ranty. Just
I was there, yeah.
Yeah, what are you doing? Just tell us about it.
No way. Oh, sorry, let me interrupt a sec. Captain Capslock can't join because somebody's blocked him. Who's blocked Captain Capslock? He's only been on one show once. Someone's blocked him.
I think the panel's full.
I know, but he said, I can't join. Someone is blocking me. Strange. Somebody's blocked him from the only show that he came on yesterday. There's no ballers on the panel now, is there?
No. Well, as I was saying, Nathan, yeah, I mean, essentially, it's like we've been asking for proof of looming. So, in the absence of any proof of looming, I think to try and disprove the idea that things loom up is the only other way to go. So that's what I'm doing with these observations. Well, going forward anyway.
Yeah, if there's an assertion that stuff's rising up beyond a curve we can't see, well, let's see it in the interim stages. Well, no, that's not what you're getting. It's the same every time. Right, Ranty?
Yeah. Well, the thing is, I've got a post, and I've triangulated it, and I will be going to Fleetwood to actually try and zoom in on it, but I'm pretty sure it's about 3.5 miles away from the observation point, and the buildings of Barrow are some 18 miles plus away. So, there's a good line of sight. Look at the post, look at the buildings behind it, and the top of the post, which has a star on, is always in the same position as the top of the buildings. So if when I've been told before that the buildings of Barrow have been loomed up and that's why I've been able to see them, well, that must mean that there's looming going on in this area. So if I go down and I film the same from the same height, same position, looking at the same buildings on different days, different weather conditions, high tide, low tide, and I do that for a month, 2 months, and we don't see any kind of change between the top of the building and the star, then it kind of disproves their argument for looming. And it's a massive win for Flat Earth because essentially their 7.6R, every observation, 7.6R, yeah. Oh, and then we can apply this, we can apply that extra refraction, yeah. Well, if I can disprove that notion of looming, then, they've got nothing because they haven't been able to prove looming to us. But if I can disprove looming to them or to everybody, then it's, as I say, it's a massive win.
Yeah, but to be honest, it's not for you to prove that it's not. It's for them to prove that it is.
Yeah, well, we've been asking for a year. They haven't produced it.
Well,
So in lieu of that, and the fact that they haven't been able to prove it, well, yeah, I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll just go and disprove it. Take their little 7.6R away.
I've got to agree. It's asserted that we just arbitrarily accept 7.6R. Looming happens. It happens at terrestrial refraction rate of 7.6R. You just have to accept it. It's real. It is refraction, even though it's not. But the idea of stuff bending up from behind the curve can be and is being debunked by Ranty. So on the most part, I totally agree with you, Anthony. Why should we? We can just take that route. But it's like me saying don't beg the question and work with the calculator like you're doing with Slit at the moment. If you weren't doing that, you I don't know what you'll get out of it now, but maybe you'll get something new out of it that you hadn't got before. But just cutting the legs off and saying, like I do, to people like Rumpus, why are we accepting an arbitrary 7.6R? Have you proved R? No. Well, let's not use it then. And that ends the conversation. But for some people in the audience, they'll go, yeah, but I'm just going to accept that. Well, okay, why? Well, let's think of a crap answer. Dawn Treader. Well, nature is variable. Right, Dawn. So it could be looming up. Well, Ranty's going out showing, no, Ed, it's not looming. It's not coming up from beyond the curve. It's just in the same bloody place every time you go and look. The conditions between you and it change a bit, but that's it. The pole at your closest point that you can see matches up with the stuff in the background at the same rate every time. If it was looming, it would drop, it would raise. It'd be in a different position, right? Can't always be looming.
The issue is this looming claim is that it's being brought back from behind a curve, right? So even if looming as a concept is the moving of the horizon, which we do see in Skunk Bay, you've got to show that it's doing it behind a curve, not that it's moving up and down as an effect of refraction, because it's got to be done behind a curve. In other words, just prove R.
Right. So hey, I'm gonna drop if anybody, if a baller wants to join.
I'm going to try and read Pete Shea's comment. 7/6R equals 42 encoded. 42 equals 24 backwards equals 88872. Name of God, we're told. 72 equals 888, 888, 888, 888. Thanks, Pete.
Okay.
Where were you on show 666?
Yeah, Agent Shay.
Hey, see you guys later.
See you later.
Later, Arwen.
So, Karen, what kind of perception do you have of the ballers at the minute? Do you find them to be just flogging a dead horse, or do you find them? But where are you at with the ballers?
Flogging a dead horse? Yeah, that's probably a pretty accurate description.
It's the only one really I can come up with. I mean, they're pushing this belief, this religious belief that they all have, clearly, but trying to make out that we're the ones with the belief. It's like, really? I find it absurd.
Hey, Apollo. Can you hear us?
Hey.
Good to have you.
Hello, Apollo.
Got a bit of a fan base, in the comments. Several people have said, the show gets really good when Apollo's on. So you got your fans, my friend.
Okay.
I'm not familiar with Apollo. Are you a flat earther or a ball earther?
Ball earther.
Hey, Karen. Yeah, I am on the 24/7/ODD Discord, but I almost never have any discussion. I'm just on it for the lols.
For the lols?
For the lulz. Love it.
Oh, dens pressure. Oh.
Exactly. How do you know?
You're the pedophile.
What? That's nonsense.
That's a bit of a
Yeah,
strong
you're the
statement.
one who was hitting on little teenagers, young teenagers in your 20s. Yeah, I know about you.
Apollo seems like he's in his 20s.
I was going to say, maybe he's the victim of pedophilia. Look at him.
Or something.
That's got to be the strongest statement I've ever heard Karen say in my life.
A lot of things come out on Discord servers. My moderators are very astute.
Don't make it true, though, does it?
Well, whatever. It's an overblown story, and I wasn't hitting on her. And I was talking with a he, by the way, so I've been told different things. Sometimes I remember hearing that she's a he, but later on it's a he, so I don't know anymore. I mean, you can say anything on the internet, whatever gender you are, so.
So were you hitting on people over the internet, though?
No.
Okay, kind of
whatever. He's the one who used to run the Flat Earth Society Discord. He called his Discord the Flat Earth Society, but it was run by a bunch of ballers. It was basically a troll Discord.
No, it was not a troll Discord, Karen.
Yes, it was.
No, it was not. It was not. Just, I know you guys hate the Flat Earth Society, but my Discord was not a troll server. I mean, I was serious about it, and many of
You were serious about having a Discord that was basically run by ball earthers that was called the Flat Earth Society.
Well, does it matter if
why would
a place
you know very well that nobody that's into flat Earth or researching even recognizes the flat Earth? Why would you do that unless you're trying to mislead people?
Yeah, it's an interesting question. Why would you do that?
Because I can't see my Google screen, by the way. It has crashed. I'm not sure if my can you guys see this? It's all black.
Black and white.
Okay. Well, I have been on the forum for some time. I think 1.5 years, or 2 years maybe. And I wanted to create a place to voice chat with all the people on the forum, just on the forum. So I created this Discord, and for some time it got unnoticed. You know, we barely had any people. Only a few guys from the server joined. But suddenly,
yeah, where's your Discord server now? What happened to it?
Called it Flat Earth Society. We understand that you created a server in a chat room. We get that, but we want to know why you used the name Flat Earth Society.
Because I wanted to create an unofficial voice chat server for the forum. So that's why I named it like the forum. But we have no official.
Do you want to tell us what happened to your server?
I'm lost.
It got raided a few times, and it is still up. But I moved ownership to somebody else. I moved ownership to an administrator because I no longer had time for it. But now we have about 3,000 members, you know, a few hundred.
My moderators exposed you as hitting on underage girls. That's what happened to your server. That is exactly what happened.
And that's why we got raided? I don't think so. I think we got raided before such stories came out. well, anyways, we were getting raided for some times. We got raided like 3 times, but then I moved ownership.
Wait a minute. He's not even denying that he makes sexual advances to people on the internet. That is not a smart thing to do.
Well, we had proof,
Then I
and they
don't
showed it to
deny
me.
either.
That's why we banned him from our server, and that's why they raided his server because they exposed him.
Then I will deny it right here. I did not hit on underage girls or
Did you
boys.
hit on people on the internet? That's my question. I don't know.
So what? Hold on.
People can pretend they're something that they're not.
He's in the middle of denying it. Number one, there's nothing wrong with hitting on people on the internet. There's nothing wrong with that. And he's in the middle of denying.
It can get you in trouble. I mean,
I did not.
Nothing wrong with hitting on people on the internet.
Well, all I'm saying is it can lead to a lot of trouble. Is it wrong? Is it right? Is it moral? I'm just saying it's not. If you want to do it, it's okay, but it can.
I don't think there's anything wrong with hitting on people on the internet, but once you know that they're underage, then that becomes wrong.
Yeah,
I would agree.
Okay. So I still want to know why you chose to call it Flat Earth Society.
Because why did I do it again? Let me think.
Because he was trolling.
No, Karen. Stop. You have no evidence of me trolling the Flat Earth movement.
Well, so having a Discord server named the Flat Earth Society run by ball earthers is not trolling?
What's wrong with having?
Because you're putting on a front that making people think that you're a flat earther or a member of the Flat Earth Society, but then people go there and you just troll them. That's what you guys did.
No, it doesn't matter what you believe if you are a moderator. I mean, if you are a moderator, you have to keep everything organized and you have to keep people who how do you say it, who disobey the rules. You have to ban those people. It doesn't matter what you believe or not, as long as you enforce the rules of the server. That's the job of a moderator.
But do you understand the point that if you present yourself as Flat Earth Society, but you're actually ballers, that's like saying that you're the red team support, you're the red support team, but actually you're the blue team. That is trolling.
Yeah, that would be like if I made a website called NASA. I don't know which one don't they own? Maybe .cn for China or .io, and I put all flat Earth stuff on it. I mean, come on, that would be just shitty, Apollo. It's I don't know what to call it. It's just.
Well, I was serious about it, and I'm sure we have had some great people, active in the debate channels who were very serious, and we allowed flat earthers from the old server on, So Karen, we allowed you guys on, and for some time we even.
It's not the point of who had access to it. Is that a person that's new to this question is going to look at you and they're going to think that you're about the flat Earth, and you're not, and that's just
no.
Okay, just keep denying it.
Exactly. That's exactly what they did.
Well, tough shit, because now our server has a flat Earth moderator. So tough shit.
Massive shout out to Math Powerland of the NASA channel.
Get a word, Apollo. I think you did all right. It's a clickbait. People type in Flat Earth. They say Flat Earth Society. What the hell is this? Let me go, and they find you. All right. I mean, more power to you. I can title my videos Flat Earth, Spherical, Illuminati, Reptilian, freaking conspiracies. And the only thing I'm talking is about Flat Earth. I don't talk any of this all the subjects, but I can throw a little clickbait title so people to check in. It's all right. You can title whatever you want, whether you believe it or not. That's the other part of the story.
Doesn't make him a noble individual.
Definitely
it is true.
Just because I believe in a ball Earth doesn't mean I can't be serious on the debate of the flat Earth.
Right, but there's a difference between being serious about the debate on flat Earth and representing yourself as the Flat Earth Society, which would be the opposing team to what your beliefs are, right?
He's not going to recognize this point. He's just going to keep deflecting, which it's okay. He's free to do so. Just I hope you're happy with your actions. If you sleep well at night with that behavior, good on you. Cool.
You're basically saying it's false advertising, right?
Yeah, pretty much. We can call it a number of things here.
That's exactly what it was.
Yeah, this went to the left big time. Apollo has a lot to offer in this show, and he's a ball earther. He's a polite guy to argue with. He has an open mind, and I like your content, Apollo. Bring it up, brother.
Thank you. Sorry, I crashed, so I had to reload.
It's all right. I love the photos of Egypt that you showed last time, and you show all the moon stuff, and I appreciate you. Personally appreciate it.
So how's the odd server going, Karen? Pretty good, right? You have like 11,000 members now, I think.
Just over 10,000 members, yes.
Okay. Nice.
Sorry, proper plug for that, please, Karen.
The 24/7 Flat Earth Discord server. It's the biggest Flat Earth Discord server, and we've got 10,000 plus members. It was spawned off of the ODD live stream.
We used to have 8,000 people, before we got raided. Oops.
When you say got raided, what does that actually mean?
It means, well, it can mean two things. It can mean your server is getting spammed, so spam bots join the server and just spam it to shit. Or it can mean, or in this case, some of our staff, admins, moderators, and helpers, they got rogue. So they basically destroyed the server and banned everybody, banned like 8,000 people. So bad decisions on my part on promoting some of these guys. They weren't happy with some of the decisions that were made. So they decided to basically destroy the server and ban everybody. So I had to build it all up again. Lots of stress.
And you had to change the name of the server, didn't you?
Yeah, I changed the name of the server. Yes. What about it? It's now called Flat Earth Debate Server. Yeah. I'm not on that much anymore. Just occasionally.
Why didn't you call it Ball Earth Society?
Yeah, like we live on a ball, morons, or something like that.
Because that would be childish.
Yeah, but
what?
Do you see the point that if you represent yourself as Flat Earth Society, but you're actually ballers, that misleads people to think to what they think that you guys are going to do to them if they were to come in and start talking, because you would expect the owners or the admin of the server to be friendly, right?
Well, we were friendly. I mean, we are friendly towards flat earthers. I mean, we accept
though, right?
everybody. Yeah, I understand your point, but I care more about the argument on someone's capability to argue than just care about his belief.
Yeah, it's not really a belief, though, that the Earth's flat.
Okay, yeah. Again, let's not even go there.
You have to believe it's a globe, Apollo.
Yes, well, I keep saying belief, so. Globe, belief, flat earth, fact. You heard it first from me, folks.
How come NASA used to be able how come in the photos there wasn't stars in the early days of NASA, in space photos, but now there are stars. Well, what's the deal with that?
Well,
The cameras.
today's digital cameras have a much easier time capturing stars because you no longer have to deal with film, and film has much lower sensitivities, and it has a reciprocity failure. So the longer you expose film, the lower its sensitivity to light. The lower the sensitivity. So if you would say want to expose to light 5 seconds, you would actually have to expose, let's say, 15 seconds to get the same amount of exposure a digital sensor would get with
I
five.
don't.
I'm going to leave these guys debating the whys and wherefores of whether or not you can capture the stars from the vacuum of space, which is a second law of thermodynamics violation. As I say, first and foremost, a huge, massive, enormous thank you to all of the live audience for tuning in and hopefully sharing this debate. And of course, a massive thank you to all of the debating panel for making this debate possible. Over on Nathan Oakley channel, in a few short moments, there'll be the pre-show together with the last debate. If you are a late riser, that will replay, as I say, with the pre-show in about 5 minutes time. I'll stick a link in the info box. I've been Nathan Oakley, and I'll see you all in the next video.
Oh, what a day! What a lovely day!